वृन्दावनचन्द्रम् आनन्दकन्दं परमानन्दं धरणिधरम्।
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। So in this Mahabharat, we have seen the main theme is dharma, the main hero is Arjuna, and we have seen the role of Sri Krishna. Now Sri Krishna is Ishvara avatar, and his role is very different to that of Jiva. We explored all this in detail. Now we've been seeing all the male characters of Mahabharat. We should also see the female characters of Mahabharat. So today we'll explore the life of Draupadi. Now Draupadi, about her also, and like many of the female characters in our epics, there's a lot of misunderstanding about their path, about their dharma, about their strength. And therefore, when they are presented at times, or when we understand what they did, sometimes we are not so comfortable with their lifestyle and choices. Now Draupadi, one unusual thing about Draupadi, which is not really seen in other Puranas or epics, is Draupadi has 5 husbands. And this is a very unusual thing. In most of it you will see that they have one husband. So during the dice game actually, Karna uses this against her to say that she can be disrobed because she doesn't need to be treated like a chaste, respectful woman. He gives this line when he is ordering her to be disrobed. He says she can be treated like a second-rate citizen type of thing. Why? Because she has got 5 husbands. And what lady will have 5 husbands? Now, why she has 5 husbands, there's a backstory to this. Mahabharata gives one simple story, or it gives 2 stories, but one of them is a simple one. That actually in a previous incarnation, Draupadi is the daughter of a great rishi. And she was looking for a husband who had all these fantastic qualities. And I think Bhagavan, knowing at that time that this is now Dwapara, Kali Yuga, such a man doesn't exist. So He said, very difficult to find all these qualities in one person. But actually, she had asked it 5 times that I want this husband. Because she asked 5 times, then she ended up getting 5 husbands. Now, when you read this story, it's sometimes not very satisfying. Then you become scared. Should I ask for things more than once? If I ask more than once, what will happen? Will I end up with 5 of those things? Or, I really want a child, I really want a child, and then all of a sudden triplets come out. And I said, no, I didn't want that many. 1 I wanted. So this is a simple story that's given. But actually, from Markandeya Purana, Purana is also written by Vyas Bhagavan only. Many of these smaller Puranas, they answer the questions of Mahabharat and Ramayana. So when you read them, in that, you will find one student asked the question about, why did Draupadi have 5 husbands? It's there. And here explanation is given in a very interesting way. So actually, we know that these Pandavas actually have come from different deities. Yeah? So, Yudhishthira was born from Lord Dharma. Bhima is born from Lord Vayu. Arjuna is born from Indra. And Nakula Sahadeva are born from the Ashwini Kumars. They have descended from them. Those deities were invoked and then these men were produced. Yeah. Now what it says is, earlier times, Indra himself, in the course of his war campaigns and the course of his life, he has committed some aparada, mistakes and sins. And because of the different sins he had committed, in one of them he killed the son of a priest. And when he killed the son of the priest, he also has to face the phala of his karmas. So he said at that time when he did that action, he was cursed that he will lose a portion of him. That portion was his tejas. His tejas. And he said his tejas was lost and removed from him. Tejas means his intelligence, we may say. His brightness, his sharpness. That was removed from him. And it was kept with Dharmaraj. Actually, Lord Dharma then took that tejas of Indra and held it. In another action, he kills another demon, but that demon is actually quite a great bhakta, Vritasura. And when he kills the Vritasura, then he is cursed that because of that killing, that he will lose his balam. Balam means strength. So his strength then is taken, and his strength then ends up with Vayu. Vayu holds on to his strength. And then the other incident we know from the Ramayana is when he tempted Ahalya. He pursued Ahalya because of her beauty. He pursued her and had a relationship with her. And because of that, he also becomes cursed that he will lose his beauty. And his beauty will be then taken away, and that was placed with the Ashwini Kumars. So now what's happened is Indra has given up bits of himself to the different deities. And when these 5 Pandavas are born, even though that God is invoked, but what that God gives up is actually the amsha, the portion that actually was belonging to Indra. So Dharmaraj ends up giving the tejas. Whose tejas? Indra's tejas. So really Indra's tejas becomes Yudhishthira. Then Indra's strength, which is held on to by wind god Vayu, that ends up becoming Bhim. Then Arjuna is born directly out of Indra. And Nakula Sahadeva are born out of Ashwini Kumars. That tejas of beauty comes out of them. So that story is there, and what it says is then, these 5 Pandavas are actually not different. beings, they are actually that one Indra who's now manifested in 5 different forms. So Indra alone has manifested as the 5 Pandavas. And Draupadi is an incarnation of Shachi. Shachi is actually Indra's wife. So Draupadi is actually Indra's wife, and the Panch Pandavas are only the 5 amshas or portions of Indra. Indra only manifesting in 5 different ways. In this way, we come to understand that she is still considered Pativrata Stri. A woman who is most devoted and serving to her husband. So it's not that she is having many husbands, but this is how her story is explained in that Purana. Now, Draupadi is considered a great Pativrata. Pativrata means one who has taken the vow of serving their husband like the Lord. Okay? We've heard this word before. It is common in our Shastra that Pativrata is also seen in Sita. And many others are also there. Mandodari is also considered Pativrata as well. She's the wife of Ravana. And Draupadi is also Pativrata. But in Draupadi, also you'll see in Sita, people don't recognize this, that this becoming Pativrata or serving this spouse, many people feel that this is a sign of now weakness. In fact, we feel a position of servitude or being in a position to serve someone else means I am now in a position of servitude. I have now become a slave. I am now under the will and command of somebody else. These are the notions that go in our head when we hear about serving somebody else, following somebody else. And therefore, this concept of following somebody else has now become somewhat, we're very opposed towards it. Yeah? And so all of us want to be leaders. All of us want to be independent. And the challenge you have with this is if everyone wants to be independent, the problem we have is no one can actually coexist. It will not be possible. Because independent means what? I have got no dependence or connection with you. There's no connection with you. And if each person starts moving towards this notion of independence, then actually there's no chance of cohabitation. We can't live together. Because each person becomes very fixed in their own will and resolve. We lose the capacity to empathize and understand others. We lose the capacity to connect and serve others. And we essentially lose the capacity to live in harmony with others. Each one of us now becomes an individual brick. But we never come together to form a wall. We can't be used to build anything larger than our individual selves. And so we see that Draupadi, she is great Pativrata. And we know that at the time when the dice game is lost, and she is staked, even at that time, she does not hold any blame or anger towards Yudhishthira. She questions the council as to whether or not this was dharmic. That was a questioning. But she does not have a forceful, aggressive attitude or resentful attitude towards Yudhishthira. That's not there. She just questions whether or not the action is righteous or not. Can you do this is her question. And she does concede at that time in the dice game that whatever answer you give me, she's talking to Bhishma, whatever answer you give me, I will gladly follow. If you say that I am one, I will gladly follow. She has this power within her. Yeah? Because of her service, because of her chastity, because of her dedication and devotion, she is actually honored. She is honored. Her honor is in the form that Dhritarashtra makes the whole game null and void. He didn't do it for anyone else. The brothers were also stripped. The brothers were also disrobed. The brothers were also humiliated. But when it happened to Draupadi, then he said this whole tournament, this whole game is now null and void. And we saw yesterday the implication of that. That actually, for Duryodhana, the Pandavas were vanquished forever in that dice game. Because they had been won over as eternal slaves in bondage. It was not a period of time. It was done. You are forever in bondage. That whole decision is reversed by the king because he sees the plight of what happens to Draupadi. So we need to understand that Draupadi's insult does not go in vain. We sometimes feel that her insult just went in vain. She was mistreated, she was abused, and there was no retribution for this. In fact, the whole game becoming null and void was the retribution only. It was because of her only. She was that powerful in her presence. She invoked such a strong feeling of love and affection, even out of the king, Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra was not necessarily partial towards her. In fact, it says at the time when she was staked, he was smiling at that time. Even Dhritarashtra was excited with the proposal of Draupadi being staked. Later on, he then reverses the decision, seeing what insult has taken place to her. How does she manage to win over such powerful personalities? How does she manage to win the love, the heart, the sympathy of all these people? It's because of her service. Because of her service, she wins the heart of all these people. And this is something that we don't recognize. That when we come to serve someone, that service should also be a choice. I choose to serve. Not that I am forced to serve or I have to serve. We've been talking about this throughout this whole talk. That what is dharma? Dharma is that where you choose. Not that where you feel pressured or forced to do. When you feel pressured and forced to do something, we are not living as a dharmic individual. We are living as slaves to our own habits. Not even slaves to another person. It's a slave to our own habits, our attachments, and our inability to see other choices and options available to us in life. Therefore, we just take what is in front of us, what is convenient, what is comfortable, what we have known. But the choice to serve is also a dharmic choice. And you will find that actually the choice to serve, or you want to call it choice to follow, it is a very dharmic method of living. And in fact, in our culture, no person is really supposed to live independently. Every person, every individual in every stage of life is actually supposed to be under the guidance of somebody else. When we are children, we are under the guidance and we follow parents. Even when we become adults, we are not supposed to be freed and independent of any form of accountability towards others. As adults, we are supposed to also be under the guidance of elders, the wise. And then when we get to a level of spiritual evolution, where we are ready to take on a guru and become a shishya, then as a shishya, you must be under the guidance of guru. The only individual that is freed of this relationship of having anyone to guide them, the only individual is the one who's not an individual. The enlightened master. The one who has transcended their ego and attained enlightenment. This is the only person that is freed from being under the guidance of somebody else. Everyone else is under somebody else. The shishya is under guru, the children are under parents, and the adults should be under elders. We need someone else to guide us. It is required. Why is it required? See, as we go through life, you have what's called your routine decisions, and then you have your milestone decisions. Milestone decisions are the type of decisions which are now going to create a massive change in your life. Things like what career you choose, things who you marry, where you choose to live, migrate. All these become milestone. They're very large decisions. And Mahabharat itself, it says such large decisions no person should take by themselves. These large decisions, other people's guidance and counsel should be involved. But it says there shouldn't be a whole committee involved. You don't need the entire democratic public being involved in this. But nor should it be made as an individual. And this is because of our psychology. Our psychology, what happens is, actually not even all of us, for some of us, we actually will be comfortable even making day-to-day decisions. Not even everyone is even comfortable with this. But for every person, whenever they have to make a milestone decision, there will be an element of self-doubt. It will be there. It doesn't matter how smart you are. Every person trying some new, large endeavor, which now involves significant risk, obviously, but with that significant risk becomes significant reward or transformation. We have to make such decisions in life. You cannot avoid it. All of us have to make these significant decisions. But when we make significant decisions, in our mind, there arises self-doubt. We'll always be a little bit unsure whether or not this is the right choice to make or that's the right choice to make. Every individual. Even the president of a country. The president of a country also has to have ministers. He has to have his defense minister. He has to have his foreign minister. Minister of Finance. All these people have to say, are we going to start a war or not? He has to look into all these factors. He can't just sit there and say, I'm going to start a war. So even the most powerful person in the world, he still has to consult with other people. What to talk about? Us. Now, when we make these large milestone decisions, the danger that we have is if we try to do them independently. Some of the decisions will have such far-reaching implications. that if these decisions and choices don't work out and they fail, it becomes almost too much for the individual to handle. It becomes too difficult for that individual to be able to handle the weight of the consequences involved in such decisions. Therefore, we can make those decisions. They sometimes go wrong. But when we have made them in isolation, then we also have to live with the regret in isolation. You'll find that others will not sympathize with you, others will not support you. Why? Because you never got them involved. So when the young man decides to make his own decision, irrespective of what the parents say, and that decision is a complete flop, then you'll find that the parents will not necessarily be sympathetic for the consequences. You now have to live with your consequences. Now, with small day-to-day decisions, yes, we must come to make these choices and live with these repercussions. But we're talking about large milestone decisions. These have very far-reaching consequences, and psychologically, because we are already filled with a level of self-doubt, the level of regret that can accumulate can be so high that it ends up accumulating as negative emotional energy in our mind. It's called regret. In Sanskrit, shoka, grief. And as we carry this regret ends up compounding our self-doubt. And our doubt becomes even larger, and we start doubting ourselves, our capacity. Why? Because in the past I made the decision, it failed. I tried it last time, it didn't work. And as doubt starts increasing within the individual, fear starts increasing within the individual. And as fear starts rising, then we start losing courage. We lose courage to make decisions that can lead to massive transformation and change. So we end up doing the same thing again and again and again, and we find that life is not changing, nor is life giving me actually what I really yearn for. So it actually becomes very paralyzing for that individual. It becomes very paralyzing. How do we get through such large-scale decisions? Then actually in such situations, we should seek the advice of others. Those that are experts in that field, they become helpful. But also those that are your well-wishers. Those that seek your betterment and evolution, they also become very important. Because the advantage they have is they know you. They know you. They will understand the contours of your mind and your personality. And they may understand that this choice, although the short term looks very fascinating, but this type of choice is going to lead to a lifestyle which you may not be able to sustain. You may not be comfortable. You may not be able to sustain it. It might be such a high-risk lifestyle that you may not be able to sustain it. Some people will be able to sustain it because they have that type of personality. But others may not. They might find that a high-risk lifestyle where each and every moment you are unsure of whether or not you have an income. They might find that this type of lifestyle I can't sustain. In the short term, very exciting, but in the long term, I can't do it. And your well-wishers, people that have lived with you for a long period of time, people who have the heart and want to see you grow and evolve, they will understand these aspects about your personality. Therefore, their advice becomes beneficial. Therefore, everyone, all of us actually should be under the guidance of somebody else. So when we read about things like a person being devoted to another person or following another person, although now we may cringe and resist such type of relationship dynamics, but actually there's a lot of benefit in that. Those that come to serve, another fear that we have when we come to serve is we have the fear that we have lost control of the situation. That somebody else will make the decision and overrule mine. And this is why, again, we resist this relationship dynamic. That I won't have the power to make the choice at the end of the day. Now, this can be correct. You may lose your choice. But actually, when we start hunting down what choice we really want, when you really start analyzing it, it actually comes down to, I may lose my power to desire. The things that I want and desire, I may be denied. The people that are your sincere well-wishers will never starve you of that which is good for you. But they may say no to that which you want, but is not necessarily good for you. Your well-wishers may do that to you. But your well-wishers will not starve you of something which is essentially nourishing towards you. And we have now lost this vision, that we are now in pursuit of desirable things, and we have forgotten and ignored the things that actually nourish us. Choices, lifestyle, thinking that nourishes us rather than fulfills a desire. Even now with food, if you look at food, there's two ways you can approach food. You can take food which is nutritious, or you take food which is tasty. They're not always mutually exclusive. Sometimes nutritious food is tasty, but most of the time it's not. Yeah. It's very hard to find a tasty piece of broccoli. Unless you belong to some communities that dip everything in sugar and then eat it, then even broccoli can become deep fried, baked in sugar, and you can eat that as well. But then I think it's lost its nutritional value after that. Once you deep fry the broccoli, I think its nutrient value has gone. Or cover all your salads with sugar, jaggery, and also eat that. Now become much more tasty. But genuinely nutritious food is not going to be that tasty. We like things which are deep fried, crispy. Crispy things are fun. I don't know if there's any crispy things that are actually healthy for you. Deep fried things that are healthy for you. So even if we have, why don't you have some Karela? Karela, you heard? Bitter gourd. Now, just its name only, how can you get excited about it? It's called bitter gourd only. They should just rename that thing, because the name itself, it's already losing out. Bitter gourd. Oh, I'll take more of that, thank you. Second serving. Can I take some to go home? No. Bitter gourd, no one is taking to go home. The extra gulab jamuns, you can pack that for me. But bitter gourd, you can keep that there. But now, how are we going to consume this bitter gourd? It's so bitter. Now, then the best way is actually, they even say, very nutritious way is to soak it. And then you drink some of that liquid. And you think, oh God, this is worse than eating the thing. Now you're just drinking the bitterness from that, even without even having the vegetable. They say, oh, this is very good for your health. It's getting even worse. So then how do we get people to eat bitter gourd? You have to cut it into nice little thin slices, soak it in batter, and deep fry it. When you do that, now I'll please have more bitter gourd. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And some people are very good. What they do is they pull the batter off the vegetable and just eat the batter only. I've had my vegetables only. A vegetable sitting there, but they have picked around everything and Some children are very skilled at this. They put it in their mouth and take all the nice part out and then put the essential thing. The essential vegetable with the nutrient is still sitting on the plate. But everything else has been eaten around. Now look, even with food, do we understand what is nutritious towards us? Or is our vision always with what is tasty? If our vision moves towards what's nutritious, actually you'll start understanding what your body needs versus what your tongue wants. This actually starts becoming intuitive. That you'll be able to start understanding at this point in time, if I'm feeling this way, I actually need to eat this type of food. But to do that, our vision has to change. Our vision has to go from one of desire and pleasure towards one of nourishment and betterment. The same thing in life. Our choices in life, are they ones of nourishment and betterment, or are they ones of desire and pleasure? You will find that when you're in a relationship with someone who is a well-wisher, they're never going to starve you of that which is nourishing. But they may starve you of that which is pleasurable. Because that which is pleasurable is not necessarily going to lead towards your betterment. In fact, it can lead to your own destruction. You become addicted to that pleasure. When you become addicted to that pleasure, then all of a sudden it is out of control. You can't control it. So one of the reasons why we're scared of following somebody else is actually not the loss of choice. It's the loss of desire. We need to become clear about this. Our well-wishers, our elders, are not going to remove what is good for you from life. They may just have to remove what is tasty and addictive. So when we talk about becoming independent, when we talk about making our own choices, a lot of it really nowadays is just another way of saying, I want to get what I want. It's another word just for selfishness, actually. What essentially is now being propagated as independence is essentially just selfishness. I want to do what I want, when I want, what I want, and I don't want to be accountable or answerable to anyone else. Such choices may become very tasty and attractive, but they may not lead to your betterment in life. Therefore, the choice to serve others, the choice to follow others, it actually starts dividing these two. What is in my betterment versus what is just tasty and attractive. And while these people are connected to me, my well-wishers, they will know when I am taking my taste, pleasure, and addictions too fast, and they can curtail that. It's another way of regulating our own desires. And our desires really essentially are our ego. We do need an external personality to help regulate our own ego, because our own ego is just very strong. It has got one path, and that is the path of pleasure, which will eventually lead to destruction. That is how it operates. It's always looking for the path of least resistance. It's looking for the path of how I can fulfill what I want here and now. It's very short term. It doesn't think long term. And therefore, when we allow this ego to become our default operating system, we will find that life all of a sudden is not working the way we want. And where we start seeing it will be in the form of relationship tension. This is where it starts manifesting, because it becomes very difficult to live with anyone else. Because anyone else's comment becomes a potential threat towards me getting my desire fulfilled. Their comments are not threats towards my betterment. They become threats to my desire fulfillment. And this is what we're scared of. And this is why we're very scared of being in a position of servitude. Yeah? But as we come to serve others, and especially when you pick a person that you want to serve, one thing will happen. You will gain attunement with that individual. With that individual, you become attuned. And the minute you become attuned with another individual, you are now jumping out of your own ego edifice. The house of ego. We are now leaving the house of ego and now moving towards another one. We are now seeing the world from a different perspective. This is a very important quality to develop if we are going to live in harmony. They talk about now in schools that children need to develop more empathy. So empathy training. What is empathy training? Learning to see the world from another point of view. To see the world from a friend's point of view, from a teacher's point of view, from a parent's point of view. And the minute we start seeing the same world from a different person's point of view, all of a sudden, you will find that instantaneously, your tension with that individual will reduce. Why does it reduce? Because now you have created understanding in your relationship. And understanding in relationship is one of the most important factors in a relationship. To understand the person that you're with. This is what fails in many long-term relationships. We stop making an attempt to understand the individual. This is what's called taking them for granted. Thinking that what they wanted 20 years ago is the same thing they want today. Thinking that my 6-year-old child used to just love giving me hugs and sitting with me on the couch, and that child has now metamorphosized into a 16-year-old teenager who doesn't want to sit not even on the same couch in the same room as me. In fact, if they had a choice, in a different building from me. Of course, I should finance that. But they don't even want to be in the same house, same room, same place as me. So they start finding university courses in different states. And they say, I've now been accepted into a great university in the US. And it's such a wonderful opportunity, not for my career, but for me to leave you without having to have any guilt of leaving you. But this is, we keep assuming that 16-year-old child still wants the cuddles and affections that I used to give it. That 16-year-old child still wants to be overfed with thai sadam and gulab jamuns. But now the 16-year-old child wants to try to develop a six-pack because he has got 16-year-old other people to impress. And especially when summer is coming, that is very important because you have to go to the beach and you have to take your shirt off. And when you take your shirt off and all you have to show is thai sadam and gulab jamuns, this does not impress the candidates of the opposite gender. So they are not fascinated. So now your 16-year-old doesn't want to eat dinner with you. Is saying no to thai sadam. Is now eating salads. And you're wondering, what on earth is happening here? They've decided to go vegan to save all the cows in the world as well. And you know, what? No, what? And so now you are becoming very distressed. What is happening with this child? It's because when I see that 16-year-old, when I see the 20-year-old, I am still seeing a 5-year-old. That means this relationship has not progressed in understanding. And that's why tension develops. And it's not just one-sided. Yeah, the parent can't see the child as an adult, sees the child only as a child. And that's why the famous things will always be, doesn't matter how old they are my child only. This is a sign of disrespect, actually. You cannot respect that person as an individual who is an adult who has grown into maturity. You continue to see them as someone that needs to be controlled or ruled over. We keep seeing them from our eyes with our desires. But we are not able to see them through their eyes with their aspirations, with their difficulties, with their heartaches. When you come to serve people wholeheartedly, this attunement takes place. That you start recognizing and understanding the aspirations of the other individual. What they really want out of life. You start understanding also the fears and doubts that individual has. All of us have things we want to achieve, but we're all held back, not by an external force. We are actually held back by our own self-doubt and fear. We don't voice it that way. We voice it in the way that this person will never let me do it. And we're very comfortable because it shows that I am not the cause of my own, I'm not the obstacle to my own success. Somebody else is an obstacle to my success. So fear plagues each one of us. Aspiration is there within the heart of each and every person. But are we connected and do we understand that? This understanding can take place through service. And it's a service where you choose to serve that person, not that you feel compelled to do it. When you feel compelled to do it, you will serve according to your convenience. You will not serve according to their benefit. Therefore, we do things which are fast, quick, easy, and efficient for us. We don't necessarily do things that are meaningful for them. So when we are compelled to serve, we don't grow in attunement. But when we choose to serve, we grow in attunement. And in that attunement, there is empathy. At least there is empathy with one other being with another vision or perspective in life. It is growth. It is growth. So in our culture, there was always this system of serving. And that's why even service to family, service to family is not considered to be a charity or something that you have done as an extra thing in life. In fact, it is your standard, straightforward dharma to do it. It is not a special favor that you have done for someone else. It was so in and part of our own culture that it was just something that we did. Because as long as we kept doing it, there was a chance of attuning to that individual. But we have to recognize the glory of that path. The glory of that path of service. Then we will find in situations, I don't need to be the leader and in charge of everything. There is glory in being a follower. Arjuna is a follower. He follows Yudhishthira's decisions. And then finally follows the advice of Shri Krishna. Hanumanji is a follower. Lakshman is a follower. They all follow what the will of their master was. So in this way, the choice of being a follower is not a choice of being something less. In fact, you can become more. The one who follows is able to let go of their own desires and ego. They are able to give up their own likes and dislikes. It is these likes and dislikes of the mind, raga and dvesha, which are the causes of turbulence in our mind. Our mind becomes turbulent because of strong likes and strong dislikes. Strong likes we call addictions. And strong dislikes, things we can't stand. I can't stand that. And things we love, I can't live without it. We become dependent on both. When you live and serve others, you become freed of this. This actually is the real slave for all of us. Our own addiction is our own slave, and our own repulsion is our own. That's what makes us slaves. They become the masters. I am a slave to my addiction. I'm a slave also to my repulsion. In service to others, this slavery is lifted. Because the other person will not let you become a slave to them. So in service, we find that we are able to give up raga dvesha, and we are able to attune with another person. Therefore, we develop empathy. Draupadi makes deliberate choices to serve. She is not forced into service. She is not put in any pressure. No one is looking down upon her saying, if you don't serve, what type of person are you? We already saw in the dice game, after the whole game was made null and void, Dhritarashtra asked her, what boon do you want? And he wants her to ask for something for herself. And even then she doesn't. Give freedom to Yudhishthira. Give freedom to the 4 brothers. Restore their weapons, restore their power. But for me, I ask nothing. In such an attitude of humility and dedication, you invoke goodness out of other people. You can bring the best out of others through such humility. And such humility can be cultivated in service. We think that the one who serves is the one who is dominated. But actually the one who serves eventually becomes the one who actually wins. Gurudeva has said that the one who serves is the one who gives. The one who is served is the one who takes. If you start living your whole life taking, are you becoming free or dependent? You actually become dependent. But the one who serves is the one who gives, is the one who becomes free. They're the one that actually becomes free. Free from the slavery of their own mind. But the subtle point is, you do invoke goodness in others. And this is something now that we've also become quite disconnected from. We now use our head to manipulate people rather than using our heart to win them over. We try to outsmart others through crafty logic, cunning schemes, preparing all our answers before the family meeting. So when they say this, I'll say that. When they say that, I'll say this. And then we'll have all our bases covered. And if I get the final word, then finally, I win this argument. But all of us know it doesn't work in family. Because it doesn't matter how many wonderful arguments it has. Finally, whoever's louder just says, no. No and no. But I had so many good arguments. No. But what about this? No. And that, no. If I say it again, no. If I say it in soft voice, no. Loud voice, no. It's not exactly an intellectual court of judgment going on over here. It's largely an emotional reaction taking place. You know why? We're trying to conquer and bulldoze people through our head. Actually, what we should be doing is winning people with our heart. And when you start trying to win people with your heart, life all of a sudden changes. Because you know what? You can still choose your path, but now you also get the support of others. When you outsmart people with your head, you can get away with your choice. You can bulldoze them, overpower them, outsmart them, manipulate them. You can. But you'll never get their support. So when your project starts falling on shaky grounds, you'll find that they won't be there to support you. And even when they're there, you know what happened? Your mind will project that they are not going to support me. Even if they do say, we will support you. Our own mind starts projecting our own insecurities and regrets. And it says, no, I don't think they're going to support me. Therefore, I'll never approach them. I won't go back and ask them. And we end up isolated and we're left in a very difficult situation. As we serve people, we start invoking goodness. And this is where we have to learn to trust in the goodness of others. If we start trusting in the goodness of others, you will see it. But to do that, we have to serve out of choice, not out of compulsion. And people will recognize it. They may not articulate it to you. They may not write lengthy emails to you. They may not write cards to you. But there will just be one incident at one point in time which just shifts their heart. It will just change them. And it leaves an indelible impression on their mind. And that indelible impression all of a sudden influences and changes their attitude towards you. I myself has experienced this many times. And I think some of you have heard. I've told this story before, that once in one of our Bal Vihar classes, there was always different types of students are there, and some of them are quite restless, and some of them are, they're kids only, want to run around and do things, so it's okay. One boy was known for running around and causing mischief and poking every other child in the class. So even in prayers, poke. Even when the other children, some children, they like to follow exactly what the teacher says. So this child will sit behind, poke. Wonderful habit of doing this. All these reports used to come to me. I didn't teach the class. But I just spent time with this boy, and I also noticed that he's a little bit, bit rowdy. He likes to do things. He likes to disturb others. But quite innocent, actually, only a child. So these people kept telling me about this child that kept doing all these things and all that. And if you've not spent time with that individual, you also create your own imagination about this person, because you don't spend any time with them. So I started developing this imagination that this child is a real terror in class. And some of them would tell me, Swamiji, watch out for this child. I say, why? What is he going to do? Overpower me physically and put me on the ground? Is it a physical threat that I have to worry about? No, Swamiji, watch out. This one is going to be a bit disruptive. This is a troublemaker. Okay. So I watched. This child somehow became very fascinated, even when I taught classes. He liked all my classes. And when you teach Ramayana and all that, and there's war scenes and monkeys are fighting against demons and all that, he would get up and he would start fighting and all this. And I hope that's all part of the fun only, nothing wrong with that. And then one day, they were celebrating his birthday. And in our Bal Vihar class, whoever's child birthday, we sing the song. And then the tradition is that that person whose birthday it is, they go and distribute the sweets to everyone else. That's what we do. We distribute the goodies to other people. There was a cake, there were sweets, everything there. We all sang the song for this child. Then at the end, all these children were just flocking and huddling around us. And they all started migrating to where the sweets and cake were. And that's also normal. But what I saw is this child whose birthday it was, he pushing his way through the entire pack, knocking every other child out of the way to get to that cake first. Now, it's his birthday. He's not supposed to be the first person to go and devour the cake. He's supposed to give to other people. This child is knocking everyone out of the way. I'm watching this and I start getting quite furious. What's going on over here? Then he goes outside. It was outside the room. He's gone. In my mind, I said, let it be, what to do. Then next thing I know, he's coming back into the pack, opposite direction, again knocking everyone else out of the way. I said, how come he's gone one way knocking? Why is he going the other way knocking? This chap just wants to knock people over or what? He then knocking everyone out the way and starts moving towards me. I start getting nervous now. Because now there could be a physical threat that this boy now could come and harm me. I don't know why he wants to knock me as well. I said, I don't want the cake. You can keep it. Just don't push me. This boy knock. And then when he comes in front of me, there is a plate with cake on it. And with a big toothless smile, he smiles and says, Swamiji, for you. Oh. I still to this day remember that incident. To this day, it was about 15 years ago. But I still remember this incident to this day. And ever since that took place, it just doesn't matter what this boy does. There's always a soft place in my heart that he's got a good heart. He is good. It was such a touching moment that I would say he won my heart that day. And all the other past things that he has done, mistakes, or whatever, rowdiness he had, it's still there and I know it was there. But it's so easy to overlook all of it. Why? This one act of sincere, heartfelt seva. He won me over. After that, I could never tell him off. I found it very hard to tell him off. Whatever I had to say, hey, just be gentle with him. Be gentle with him. This is what happens when you sincerely choose to serve someone. You can win their heart. And no matter what impression they have of you, no matter how many mistakes, how bad the relationship has been in the past, but when you serve sincerely for the betterment of the other, not to manipulate them, not to get something out of them, not to put a favor in their pocket so that there's a favor now sitting in your pocket which you can now cash in later. This is not sincere seva. This is done with the head. The head does seva with calculating profit and loss, gain and return. And the head does that. The heart serves because the heart loves. It wants to put a smile on the face of the other person. It wants to please that other person in some way. That's its only purpose. And when we have this attitude, you win the hearts of many. You will win the hearts of those that you serve, that actually they will put you on the pedestal. And whatever you seek, they will come to your aid to fulfill it. This is the life of Draupadi. This is the life of Sita as well. Draupadi had such a heart to serve that no matter what situation she got into, she not only served her husbands, but actually she was proper pativrata. What is pativrata? It is not a person who serves another person. Pativrata means when you choose to see the God in that person and then serve them. You choose to see the God in that person. Don't see the individual in that person. Don't see the ego in that person. Don't see the jiva in that person. Because when you see the jiva in that person, you'll lose inspiration. You'll lose motivation. It'll become transactional. I do for you, therefore you do for me. That's when we see the jiva in them. But when we see the Lord in that person, the vision is very different. Just through our love for God, we can serve them. And when she served her husband, this was the vision she had. And that's why there are two critical times when Draupadi is stranded in distress. One is at the time of the dice game, when she is disrobed, and now even the husbands are not able to help her. But who was she serving? She was not serving these husbands. She was serving the Lord. At that time she cries to the Lord. She calls to the Lord that she is in distress. Kaurabharvanamagnam uddarasva janardana Krishna Krishna Mahayogin Vishwatman Vishwabhavanah Prapannam Pahi Govinda Kuru Madhye Vasidatam. Krishna Krishna Mahayogin. Oh Krishna, the one who has all the power because you wield that mighty Yoga Shakti. I am drowning in the ocean of these Kauravas, surrounded on all sides by this assembly of kings who are not doing anything to protect me. Uddarasva, lift me up. Prapannam, I have surrendered to you. I who surrendered to you. Pahi Govinda, protect me, protect me. Like this she cries to the Lord. And it says, don't forget, Krishna's not actually there in the dice game. Tyaktva shayasanam padbhyam krupalu krupaya bhyagata. He said Krishna left everything and immediately manifested himself there. And he only provides that endless cloth to go around her to keep her covered. She could invoke the will of God herself. The other incident that she does, which is a very notable incident, is when they're in the forest. And in the forest, back in Hastinapur, one rishi called Durvasa Rishi, he came to Hastinapur and he was served by Duryodhana. Duryodhana's seva was so good, the rishi then asked a boon. And Duryodhana asked for a very cunning boon, a boon in order to harm the Pandavas. And he said, Durvasa, go with all your students. Durvasa had a big band of students, Shishyagana, thousands of them. Go with all your students and meet the Pandavas in the forest. And what I want you to do is ask of them bhiksha, food. But you ask after Draupadi has eaten. Draupadi has a special bowl called Akshaya Patra. And this bowl would give endless amount of food until she ate from it. Once she ate from it, kitchen closed. Akshaya Patra over. So once she eats, it's done. Now they have their meal, they eat. Durvasa comes at this time. After she has eaten with his whole band of disciples. And Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi, please feed me. And he says, Amba, mother, we will all go take bath, do our prayers, and when we come back, we will eat. Now they all go. When they go, all of a sudden, Draupadi is now distressed in panic. The whole Durvasa Rishi, with all his shishas, going to have no food. There will be no food available to feed them. How on earth is she going to do this? Yeah. So again, in this distress, she prays to Krishna. Manasa chintayamasa Krishna kamsa nishudanam prapanna pala gopala prajapala paratpara pahimam kripaya deva sharna gatavatsala tatrajagama tvarito yachintyo gatirishvaraha. She prays to Krishna, Pahimam Kripaya, Sharana Gata Vatsala. Krishna, you are the one who is so dear to those who seek you as refuge. For those who approach you as refuge, you treat them like your child. You will do anything for them. Protect me now, Krishna. And he said, Krishna, Parthastam Shayane Twakta Rukminim Keshava Prabhu. He was with Rukmini in Dwarka. Immediately left that. Tyaktva Shaya. He left that room with her and went straight to the forest. And using his yoga Shakti, he manifested. Tvarito, immediately he manifested. Then that Krishna said, Hey Draupadi, that Akshaya Patra, is there any food left of that at all? Just one morsel you give me, you feed me. And she goes and looks, there's one particle of rice there. He said, give that to me. Now actually, when the Lord comes, you can't offer leftovers. But now Lord is telling her, give this to me. We already said, Param Dharma. When Bhagavan tells you to do something, you do it. So, she gives. When she feeds Krishna, that one particle, he who is the Atma of the entire universe, Vishwatma, he becomes satisfied. When he becomes satisfied, every other jiva becomes satisfied. All of a sudden, that Durvasa Rishi, with all the shishyas, are sitting in the river taking bath, and all of a sudden their stomachs feel absolutely bloated. So full, they can't even think about getting anything in. In fact, they have to start looking for the next pharmacy, because some heartache medication must be there, indigestion, all this type of thing. So scared they were that they said, you know what? We will not go back. If we go back and she feeds us, we can't put anything in. That will also be insult. So they don't even return. And in this way, Krishna again saves Draupadi. Now when Krishna saves Draupadi, one, it is grace of Krishna. But two, that grace has been invoked by Draupadi. It is not just some random occurrence that has taken place. Draupadi, through her devoted seva, has invoked the grace of God. And this comes to the next subtle point in the path of seva. Initially, when we serve, we learn how to attune with another being. We develop empathy. We also give up our raga and dvesha. When we give up raga, dvesha, strong likes and dislikes of the mind, the mind becomes very quiet. And when the mind becomes very quiet, the intellect starts attuning towards the higher. The divine call within us becomes clearer. In the heart of each and every individual, even now, there is a divine call within us. But it is currently overpowered by the noise of our ego. Our gusting desires, they provide such loud noise that we can't hear this call within us. And therefore we get confused and we keep choosing the path of ego. We keep choosing the path of I want to do what I want when I want. And the call of the divine becomes muffled, silent, distant, faded. As we start giving up these agitations of the mind, desires of the mind, then all of a sudden the intellect attunes to the higher. As it starts attuning to the higher, all of a sudden the divine call becomes very clear. Through this clarity, you actually can give up the ego itself. The ego itself can be shed because you can make the final and highest choice in life. And the final and highest choice in life is not a thing to do. It is a choice to be. I choose now to live and be the infinite. Not choosing to do something. This highest choice to live as the infinite, to live as Satchidananda Atma, clothed in a body, clothed in the mind and intellect. This is the highest choice that Jiva can make. This choice is called surrender. And this choice is available to us when we have lived the life of Dharma. When we have lived the life of Dharma, when we have lived the life of service, the mind becomes quiet, the intellect becomes attuned to the higher, and the choice of who you want to be becomes clear. You can now define yourself as the divine, not as something limited, not as something perishing, not as something that is yearning and seeking completion, but you define yourself as that which is Purnam, complete. You recognize that you yourself are complete. You are that infinite. You are that higher. And when this knowledge descends upon us, then all our desires actually become obliterated. You rise above all desires, and life becomes full. Life becomes an experience where you have the choice to give and give more. It is not even a choice of giving and taking. It is just a choice of giving and giving more. It just becomes spontaneous, actually. That person is so attuned to each and every being that actually there is no choice. It happens spontaneously. They just become a giver. We are takers in life whenever we feel empty. Whenever we feel incomplete and empty, we become takers. And we are constantly thirsting for future happiness. Why? Because now I am incomplete. Because I am incomplete here and now, that means I cannot be happy here and now. My happiness is in the future. My happiness is when I get the promotion. My happiness is when I get into this course. My happiness is when I start earning money. My happiness is when the children are married. When we start living in this paradigm, it is a paradigm which is telling us, I'm not happy now. I still have to prove myself. I still have to do so many things. And even when I give, I'm giving, but I still want my vessel to be filled. So when I give, I'm still holding my bowl out, so you will also fill it. I don't have the freedom to give without expectation. Why? Because I have defined myself as something limited. The highest choice to surrender this limitation is to give up this begging bowl. This begging bowl called the jiva. Begging for love, begging for control, begging to be in charge, begging to have all the pleasures and desires fulfilled. This bowl you can give up. And instead of having a bowl of happiness, you get a whole ocean of happiness. You recognize that your Atma is in fact infinite. And when you have an ocean of happiness, why will you go begging around with a bowl? You have got so much, it just overflows and spills onto everyone in your presence. And one contact with you, people's lives become transformed. You will start seeing everyone's attitude towards you start shifting. Because they recognize that you are one who gives, not one that takes. We are scared of takers. We are suspicious of takers. Because when we come near them, we're always thinking, what do they want out of me? Why is my 16-year-old son all of a sudden sitting next to me and holding my hand so much? There must be some function that's coming up. And my daughter, who doesn't talk to me because she's always on her phone and on Instagram. She's taking photos of everything she eats and send it to the whole world. This daughter now has decided to stand next to me and massage my shoulders. No one has massaged my shoulders in my entire existence. And now I'm getting a shoulder rub. And when I get this shoulder rub, I start thinking, not how good the shoulder rub is. I'm thinking, what is this shoulder rub going to cost me? Her social is coming up and she wants a $200 dress. It's cheaper for me to get a shoulder rub in the shopping center. That's $20. This one, $200. And that one's an expert. This one got no idea what she's doing. When we feel empty, other people's gestures of love are treated with suspicion. And even when they're genuine, people are genuinely just praising you. You're still wondering, what do they want out of us? Something they want. He was asking a lot about where I worked last time. I think he wants me to see if I can get him a job in the company. I think that's what he wants. No, he's migrating to another country only. No, something he wants. There's something that chap wants. So every invitation to their house, you also treat with suspicion. Why? If they invite me, that means I have to invite them. Very good, understood. Yeah. Every innocent gestures of love are interpreted as with suspicion. That this person got something they want out of me. All this is stemming from a feeling of being empty. And this emptiness will not go unless we make the choice to live as the divine. As long as we live as limited individuals, we will always live from the standpoint of being empty. But when we make the highest choice, that highest choice to surrender our limitations towards the infinite and define ourselves as the infinite, living with the finite, not the finite living with the infinite. I am the infinite Atma, clothed in this body. Currently we think I am the body with Atma within it. Isn't it? So we define ourselves by the body with an Atma. Actually, we are an Atma with the body. Shift that thinking. When you shift that thinking, that's called surrender. And when you shift that thinking, the divine will manifest in your life. Just like for Draupadi. She was able to surrender and the divine manifested immediately. On both occasions, when they were in the forest and at the dice game, Krishna was not actually present. He manifested at that time in her life. In the same way, when you shift this thinking, all of a sudden divine manifests in your own life. Everywhere you see, you now see it from the standpoint of the divine. Every situation is a situation and an opportunity to give, rather than thinking, how do I take? Life becomes full, you feel complete, and all of a sudden, that slight remark that was made was not taken as a deliberate taunt and criticism, as an attack, a bullying, a harassment, a trauma. We now use these words all the time because we keep living from such a limited perspective. That anyone says anything to me, I'm bullied, I'm harassed. It's because we already feel so small and insecure about ourselves that if anyone makes a comment, it just triggers that. Change the way you see yourself. All of a sudden, other people's comments become jokes, actually. Laughable remarks. Things you can also enjoy. They joke about you, you can also joke about them. Nothing is a criticism. Nothing is a praise, nothing is a criticism. That person rises above both because both are for the person who feels incomplete. We need praise to fill our bowl, and criticism is when someone empties the bowl. But now I'm the ocean. Take what you want or give what you want. It's inconsequential. Your praise is inconsequential. Your criticism is inconsequential. Tatamana pamana yoho. That person becomes samatvam towards both. This becomes the life of divine. And this is how, following the path of dharma, we finally get towards moksha. Mahabharat primarily is talking about dharma. And we can see that through the choices of the different characters. But where does this dharma finally lead us towards? Dharma must lead us towards the highest choice. That is the choice to surrender. And in that choice to surrender, it is the choice to embrace a life of divine, the life of the infinite. In this way, dharma takes us towards moksha, enlightenment, and as I said, through the various lives, stories and incidents of the different characters in the Mahabharata, this is what we should be looking for. Sometimes we superimpose our own pettiness onto the characters and then we look into it. And then we get very confused. Try to see the Mahabharata from its central theme. And I already said that central theme was Dharma plus Krishna will give Jaya, victory in life. Yeah? And that dharma means you always have choice in life. You are never bound or compelled at any point in time. The person who lives a dharmic life can recognize their choices and options at all points in time, and even when they follow or serve, it is a choice they have wholeheartedly made. It is one that leaves them feeling empowered and enriched. With that, we conclude these 4 sessions. Of course, there's so much more in this Mahabharat to go on. But in these 4 sessions, I've done my best to share the main theme and how it is being portrayed through some of these incidents. As we mentioned before, there are classes, and actually on Saturday afternoon in the ashram, I am teaching Mahabharat in much more detail. The 3:30 to 5 o'clock class is there, and that one I'm going through each incident with much more detail, including the teachings and the conversation specifically. So those interested are welcome to join us in the ashram on Saturday afternoons. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.